What's up everyone, Cheating the System 21 here with an overview, review, and comparison of the PlayStation Move Sharpshooter controller. This video is going to work in 3 different segments. Firstly, it's going to be an unboxing and an overview listing all of the product's features. Secondly, it's going to be a comparison with the leading product in the same genre. Thirdly, it's going to be a review and my opinion. You can click the link in the description to go to each part if you wish. If not, you can watch the entire video all the way through. Here is the unboxing and overview.
So first things first, I'm just going to get this out of the box. Let's see here. Well, that's not nice. Okay, no. So, here we are. And here is the product itself, and that seems to be pretty much all that comes with it. Oh boy. Okay. So, let's get this translucent packaging off of it. Okay, perfect. So now you can see the device itself. The most interesting thing, before I even get into any of the buttons or anything like that, is this rail here. Now, obviously, real weapons and paintball guns and things like that have rails, and they're used for mounting sights and things like that. And I am just curious to see, obviously, that this one does not come with anything, but I'm curious to see if maybe in the future they'll be releasing maybe an ACOG or red dot sight for this, or if maybe it's just a thing so if people have one that fits. And there you go. But I don't know. This here has the nice PlayStation Move logo right on it. And this actually looks very, very well made. Feels really sturdy. And I'm going to be... Oh, wow. Alright, cool. And that pushes in. Alright. So now, one extra thing that came in the box, I'm going to put that right there, is this thing right here. Okay. Now, right now, you might be seeing manual. You're like, manual? I don't want... Neither do I. This is what I was talking about. These are stickers for both Killzone 3 and SOCOM 4. Now, I assume this is in the Guitar Hero fashion, where they kind of want you to bedazzle this with stickers. I'm not sure if I'm really a huge fan of doing that, but I will certainly check it out. And I don't know, I might put 1 or 2 on, and the rest will just use for something else. But I personally don't like having stickers on here or anywhere I'm going to be holding, because that just gets distracting sometimes. Now, there's a few things you're going to need to use this Sharpshooter controller. First things first, you're going to need both the Move controller, which is pretty much buyable anywhere. You're going to need the PlayStation Eye camera, and you're going to need the navigation controller. The reason, I mean, not every game is going to use this one, but I mean, there's a clear spot for it right here, and that's what most of these games are going to be using. The next thing you're going to need is a game that supports it. For example, this game was pretty much made for Killzone 3. As you can see here, Killzone 3, awesome. It's also going to work with games like MAG and other games like Time Crisis: Raising Storm. Of course, SOCOM 4. I mean, it comes with stickers for the game, to be frank. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Now I'm going to say this a little bit loosely, but it looks kind of based off of an MP5. And to show that, I have an MP5 BB gun right here. As you can see, like I said, loosely, without the stock, and I guess this thing here, it looks quite similar in a few ways. It also kind of resembles an M4, not so much an M16, but yeah, that's pretty much the basis of it. Of course, right here we have the stock. Now, the stock is one of the most important things on any gun, be it real or fake, because if you have a flimsy stock, you have a flimsy gun. This, for plastic, feels very, very strong. You can hold it here as if you were holding a real gun. Of course, it's scaled down, not to size. Then we've got this. This is the clip. It's not actually a clip, obviously. It has an RL button, which I still haven't figured out what that means. But anyway, yeah, if you want to hold it here, by all means. This here is a release valve. Well, not a release valve, but a release for the PlayStation Move thing to come off. so you can put the controller in, and as you can see, very well crafted. I don't know if you can see this. That is the mini USB port that plugs right back in here. So it looks like it's going to be extremely easy in. You've got the select and start buttons on the side. Looks great. Just going to put that back on. Then, down here, you have the spot for the nav controller. And I'm just going to go ahead and put that right in because I don't see why I would ever be taking this out. So there, fits in quite nicely, kind of shakes around a little bit, but then you've got this lock, which will go in somewhere, and lock. Perfect. So now, this thing is not moving around at all. I can clearly hold it here, and I got my two fingers going there, and then I have this just as if it were a left side of a DualShock. Also, another cool thing is a reload feature, if the game supports it, like Killzone 3. Do you see that? I'm assuming you could hold it here if you want actually to feel like a shotgun if you don't need to use the nav controller. Of course, there's gesture-based things like the reload in Killzone is when you twist it. Things like that. Moving back here, we have a square and triangle button. And the reason it's a square and a triangle button is because, I don't know if you can see it, however, the navigation controller has the X and the circle button on it. Yeah, I guess you can see that fine. Has the X and circle button, so these are the other two buttons. This would usually be in the place of like a clip release or something, so you would whoosh, and then put another one in. There's no, I guess there's no reload thing, but okay. This here is assumingly for one shot, burst, fully automatic. Now, I don't know what game ever would use that, but looks pretty cool. Next, of course, we have the trigger, which will shoot the gun in any game that you're playing. And then under here we have the move button. This is the PlayStation Move button, and the reason they have one here, so I'm going to try and see if we can get a better angle on that. That's the PlayStation Move button. The PlayStation Move button would usually be right here. Now actually, I'm just going to put this thing in here. See, right there. Perfect. So once you get that through, pretty much just put that on here. I just turned on my PlayStation and push it in. Perfect. Alright, I accidentally just turned on my PS3. That's funny. Alright, so I guess you could take your strap lock there off if you wanted to. I don't really see a huge need to take that off. Alright, so there you go. So the PlayStation Move button would normally be up here. However, since your hand's mostly going to be here, switching back and forth is just not comfortable. So you've got a PlayStation Move button here that of course transmits. But PlayStation Move button sometimes can be calibrate, sometimes it can bring up a menu. You don't always want to use this button. So that's what the lock is for. Lock this down, usually it would be a safety or something, but this button is not being pressed. It looks like it's moving a little bit, but here obviously it's being moved much, much more. So there, you're not going to be pressing that button, so if you don't want to accidentally press it, then put the lock on, if you don't mind. Perfect. If this is like aim down sights or something, you're going to need it. Anyway, that's a pretty basic overview. Of course, I mean, this pulls out, push that in, and you're good. This looks very awesome. Obviously, this is a quick overview of what this thing is. And, yeah, I mean, I like it. I cannot wait to try this thing out in-game and see how it performs.
Next up, we have the comparison. This puts this gun against the leading gun rifle controller for the PlayStation Move. And, well, see what I say.
Okay, so right here you see the Sony Sharpshooter, and you see the leading third-party PlayStation Move rifle controller. Now, the reason I chose this controller over one of the pistol ones is because, of course, we're comparing rifles and not the Sony pistol controller. So, first things first, we've had an overview of the Sharpshooter, so I'm going to move this out of the way, and we're going to take a look at this one. Now, right away, you see a few differences. First things first is you have this. This is, I guess, made to look at so it's not as much like a real weapon. Because, I mean, this does. It looks kind of like an M16, and from afar away, you can see how somebody might mistake that. But it's completely useless. And if anything, it blocks the camera from seeing the PlayStation Eye controller, the move ball, whatever. So that I never use that ever. So next thing we can see, the stock, the butt is not adjustable in any way. It can come out like that, and that's one of the many things about this. This thing is only necessary if you want it to look like a rifle, but they're really pushing customization, which is probably where this comes from, is because they want it to look a little longer or whatever. So if you want it to be more of a submachine gun feel or something like that, you can make it look like that, and it does no longer look like any realistic weapon at all. And of course you can have it looking like a pistol, which I don't know what kind of pistol looks like this, but if you want to pretend you're from 1764, I guess that's pretty cool. Anyway, so that's pretty much it. This is just a hold. You can put it on here, and it's you can put it on here, and it's mostly for stability. But other than that, this is the device itself. It has a pretty easy installation, just like the Sharpshooter. You pull this up, and you can take it out. Vice versa, you put it back in, and just... Okay, maybe it's not as easy as the Sharpshooter. So there we go. Now it's back in there. It's got the start and select buttons on the side, just like the Sharpshooter. And it has these things here. Now this here, if you can see, is L2, and over here is L1. That is because the navigation controller is inside here. This also comes off very easily. You just pull that out, and it hits the L1 and L2 buttons, which is actually pretty cool. Now my only main gripe with this controller is if you're not left-handed and hold a gun left-handedly, you're not going to be able to use this effectively. The whole idea of this controller is to have the nav controller and the PlayStation Move, but there's no games that move with your right analog stick. At least I don't know them. So you're playing a first-person shooter, you're having to relearn how to move around in an environment while you have a peripheral controller in your hand. It's a daunting task, and if you don't like holding things in your left hand, if you're not left-handed, you're pretty much screwed. You can't use the thing. That being said, when you're using this thing on a rail shooter, something like the Shoot, there's no problem, because you're probably not going to be using this unless you're navigating a menu. If you're navigating a menu, there's no problem. But if you're just shooting, it's fine. It's actually pretty good. And then these buttons, of course, are only there for mostly first-person shooters, so you'll probably never use these if you're using an on-rail shooter. And another big technical problem is having to go here. So if let's say you are left-handed and you're moving and you're holding it like this, and you want to aim down your sights and change your weapon at the same time, that's just not going to happen. And I mean, I think it's something that was kind of overlooked, and maybe they didn't realize that people would want to play first-person shooters with this, which is kind of unfortunate. But like I said, especially when you have this grip, you could call it, it's actually a magazine, but you have this here, it is great for on-rail shooters. And the only reason you wouldn't want to buy this controller is because it's only $10 cheaper than the Sharpshooter. And all of the problems that are on this controller are not present on the Sharpshooter. For example, the navigation controller is here. The buttons are free and open. They compensated for that, but there you go. You can hold it on your right hand if you'd like, if you're right-handed, or if you're left-handed, you can hold it this way. So it's completely ambidextrous. And even if you wanted to hold it like this, that's not a problem. You can hold it here, you can hold it here. It really doesn't matter. The square and triangle buttons are compensated for when the Move controller is up here. That is also apparent with the Move button. Of course, you got the hold. The stock is adjustable, just kind of like this. If you want it long, it's like that, and you can bring it in, so it's as if it doesn't have one, or you can just hold it. No big problem. There's reloads. Those are just extra features that it's not entirely necessary. The X and circle buttons, every single button is available to you, except for these, but you're only going to be using these to bring up a menu or something. And on-rail shooters, of course, are going to be great with this because you just pull it back and you don't even have to go as far as this. I can show you. This is just like right here, it stops. That's as far as you go and it sends the signal. However, on this, as you know, the PlayStation Move button, or the PlayStation Move trigger can push back quite a bit. This here, you have to push all the way. You might not be able to, you can hear it, it's pulling back here. You might not be able to notice, but that's quite a significant increase to how much you have to pull it here. Like that all the way, or just a little bit. Right? So those are the differences, the comparison between the leading model and the Sharpshooter. So I'm just gonna arrange them here. And of course, the Sharpshooter is literally better in every single way. So for $10 extra, if you were trying to decide Sharpshooter or leading, the reason I'm saying leading is because I forget the name of it, that shows you just how memorable it is. I would 100% go with the Sharpshooter as the #1 main PlayStation Move rifle.
And now it's time for the review of the Sharpshooter controller. Starting off with this controller, it is 100% the best rifle controller you can get for the PlayStation Move. Is it really that significant that it's the best? No, because the other ones, they're not that great, to be quite honest, and have quite a few technical flaws. Not only is this the best out of all the PlayStation Move controllers, but I'm saying this is the best out of all the Wii peripherals, and possibly the best we've seen since arcades. This is a very solid design. It's a very great controller. I mean, some of the features, the RL button, which I finally figured out, is reload. The reload here, the fact that the gun just fits your hand no matter what size you are. If you want to make it bigger, if you want to make it smaller, somewhere in between. You can have your right hand here on the pistol grip and your left hand comfortably, which is something some of the other controllers couldn't have done. And it's just, it makes it feel like the most realistic shooting experience you can get for the PlayStation Move. Now, that right there might be enough to sell someone on this product. And if that does sell it, I'm going to tell you, go right ahead and get this product. But the only thing I am going to say, for those people who aren't quite sold on it yet, is make sure this is actually what you want. No, it's not very expensive, so even going and getting it and not using it too much won't be too much of a waste of money. But in my personal experience, when I played with this controller, it has a little bit of a learning curve. That's with anything. You're used to playing a game with a DualShock 3, R1, L1, you're good to go. When you hold this in your hand, you have to figure out how to move around. You're looking with this. It feels natural, but it's still a little bit odd in comparison to what you've been playing all this time. Now, yes, the buttons are in the perfect spot. I can jump, I can shoot, I can slide, I can move. Everything's great. But when I was using this controller, I find that I did much more poorly than I did when I was only using the nunchuck and the PlayStation Move 1. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just not quite adapted to this controller yet. Maybe when I was playing Killzone, I just remembered when I played with the Move controller from the beta, and I was already used to that. All these factors could be a thing, but don't be alarmed if you pick up this controller and aren't a huge fan of it right away. It's going to take some time to get used to. It's going to take some time till you're like, oh, okay, I understand exactly what I need to do, and I can do it flawlessly. Because once you stop thinking about something and you just keep doing it by reflex, that's when you have something down. And by using the Move controller, I find my reflexes are much more tuned, almost as attuned as they are in turning around and firing with a DualShock controller. With this controller, or any controller for that matter, it takes me a little bit of time to figure out, okay, I'm moving around here, I'm aiming, okay, I got this, I understand. Oh, wait, crap, oh, I died. It takes a little bit of time, and focusing more on the controller takes a little bit away from the game. So if you're trying to do an objective, it might take you a little bit longer to realize, oh crap, I should probably be arming A instead of, what am I doing, what am I doing? Okay, alright, I got this, wait, hold it this way, turn, okay. It's, for first-person shooters, it is a really, really steep learning curve. That being said, someone who does not ever, not ever, but who does not typically pick up a controller and play a video game with 2 analog sticks, and you hand them this controller, I'm sure they will become accustomed to it, they will become used to it, and they will probably even become better with this than they ever would have with a controller, simply because it's a sense. It's kind of like everyone knows kind of how to point a gun. Everyone knows that you go like this and you point a gun. Not everyone knows that when you put left on the right analog stick, you're going to turn your entire character around. Not everyone understands that. But you're pointing at a screen, you're turning. It might be a lot easier for some people. So that's how it works with first-person shooters in my own experience. That being said, rail shooters. On-rail shooters like Time Crisis, like The Shoot, those games work absolutely beautifully with this. Because this, like I said, is the best controller you can get for the PlayStation Move if you want one. And when you're holding it like this, like a gun, and you're pointing and you're shooting and you've got it, it is fantastic for aiming. It's a lot more fun than just shooting and pointing at a screen when you're on a rail shooter, because let's be honest, rail shooters tend really not to be that fun sometimes, especially when you're just pointing at a screen and you're just using your Move controller. It's really not that great. But if you have something that makes it feel like a real gun in your hand and you're pointing at things that feel like real targets sometimes, it's great. I'm not gonna lie, I had a lot more fun with The Shoot with this controller than I ever thought I could have with a rail shooter. And, you know, the reason I would recommend this controller over any other one is, firstly, the price. The price is absolutely fantastic. It's a very, very inexpensive controller, especially for what you're getting. You're getting an onboard motherboard, you're getting vibration feedback just like you would be if you were holding a regular controller, but it's all through the gun. The response time is extremely, extremely fast, with little to no lag. And the buttons are in the perfect spot. Everything about this controller is perfect. It's gonna take some getting used to if you want to play it with a first-person shooter and you're not quite used to it, but that is to be expected. Other than that, I think this is probably one of the best peripherals that you can get on any system for any purpose at all. It's better than the Guitar Hero controllers, and it's leaps and bounds above anything else that's made just for shooters. I hope you've enjoyed this review, and I hope it's helped you to make your decision. I am Cheating the System 21, and I am out.
Now RL. The hell is RL? Right L? What the hell is RL? Right left. Right left what? Is that right left 1? Is that right left 2? Is that R1? R2? What the hell does that mean? RL. What the Weird.